Okay, let's review the Quest 3 by Meta. I'm going to help you figure out whether this is worth the investment in addition to or in spite of getting the PlayStation VR 2 as well. Maybe one or the other or both. Incidentally, I also have a review video for the PlayStation VR 2, so check that out as well because it will help you figure out the decision even more easily, as well as a comparison video that pits the PlayStation VR 2 and the Quest together in a battle of differences so that you can compile the differences together and help them come together and become one maybe. That will be at the end of this video as well as in the pinned comment as ever. Oh, I'll also be scoring the Quest 3 out of 10 as is traditional in really embracing the art of the video review. But let me give you a brief on the Quest 3 itself. Ignore my dangly part coming off there. It's a custom Chinese thing. It works, but it kind of doesn't stay on. So it boasts a sleeker design, as you can see, mixed reality capabilities with color pass-through, full color pass-through cameras. It's also a bump in resolution and up to 4K to bring more lifelike virtual reality to your virtual reality life. The Touch Plus controllers also have removed the ring design as you have with PlayStation VR 2 and even the Quest 2. Another benefit with the Quest 3 is it's not just about the awesome gaming, but you can also do things like exercise or balance your checkbook, mod it and do some other weird, cool Vision Pro-like things without spending $2.5 grand to do it. A myriad of things, work, play, create, you name it. Let's begin. So I'm just gonna say it, mixed reality is a game changer. It is something you have to experience. It makes interacting with the UI, even right from the start, just really cool. It's having this kind of floating screen in front of you with your reality at the same time. It's really sick. Also, it has finger tracking, so you can interact with this environment that you're in with your fingers, so you look like a brat, but you know, it's really cool. You're like, and you can do stuff like this to make it do different things and you know, you could, yeah, it's really dope. Feels really tactile and futuristic. It feels like you're in Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever stars you're into. Again, you look goofy to the outside world, but it's VR. You're allowed to look goofy. Now let's converse that with negatives here. There is no eye tracking on the Quest 3. There is also no headset vibration like, oh, I'm gonna take this off by the way. It just keeps coming off, so silly. There's also no head vibration like our friend, the PlayStation VR 2. And I like things that vibrate personally. We also don't get any HDR support, and I'm a big fan of HDR. It just gives more vivid colorness and brightness to the things that you're seeing, as is the case here with the lens not having it. You know, you can see my notes and the thing there. You are deprived of that with this device despite the cost and everything, which is interesting. Now apparently it's something to do with the fact that these are what they call pancake lenses, which are better in every other way apart from the fact that they don't support HDR apparently. And also because it doesn't support eye tracking, it means that it can't use features like foveated rendering, which in simplicity means that aside from applications of like letting a character know that you're looking at them, so you can have like a female character go, look at me when I'm talking to you, which is not possible without the eye tracking system, obviously. It's also allows for things like increasing performance, because you can focus on what part of the scene is looking best based on where you're looking with your eyes rather than just the direction you're facing, which is not possible without some kind of internal eye tracking going on within, which this device doesn't support. One of the things I've always been impressed with the Meta series line of devices is the updates. The updates are just crazy. I think the first time we had finger tracking, it wasn't even a feature originally in the device itself, so you know, I never thought there'd be updates to that level. And that's one of the things of the updates with Meta Quest devices. They're just kind of some of the most crazy updates. You know, the most recent one being in October of last year, October 2023, which I believe was the full body tracking in VR AI legs. Wow, so you can have like sexy legs in VR, all at no extra costs. You know, this is something that Meta keep doing. They keep updating as much as they can. They don't seem to be holding back on the features and things that you can do with the device just so they can sell you another version necessarily. You know, they'll update it pretty well. In fact, in our community poll, you guys all agreed as that was one of the biggest areas that impressed you most with Meta Quest 3 Quest devices generally is the updates. It's a big deal, so it's worth mentioning. Also, flexibility. Flexibility is key with Quest devices, offering both tethered, if you plug in here where the USB-C port is, and non-tethered or wireless experiences. The high visual settings of PC VR and Steam VR, etc., OpenVR are game-changing, especially when it's combined with freemium mods like the Flat 2 VR's UE2 VR, I think is the right term. Watch out for videos for that if I haven't already released them, which basically takes Unreal Engine 4 and 5 games and makes them work with devices like this on the PC, and it seems pretty freaking remarkable. That's a big deal because there's something like, I think it was like some 10,000 or 11,000 games that are now able to be played in VR, which is pretty crazy. Obviously, there's varying levels of support in terms of how the controls work within the game, or if it's just out body or first person and so forth. But the fact is that you have the choice with the Quest device, and you don't with the PlayStation VR 2 in comparison. So with mods like that, and just the fact that it's supported on the PC, it really expands the library of games available to you. Let's not also forget the fact that the Quest 3 is compatible and backward compatible with Quest 2 and even Quest 1. Like, you can play all the Quest library on this device, which is crazy. I mean, that's just like, it's such value for money when you think about that. And that's something that the PlayStation VR 2 cannot say is not compatible with the previous library stuff. And I think for pound, we're getting more updates for Quest 3 versions of games, as well as sequels compared to the PlayStation VR 1's exclusive so far. Now, some of the downers is that I find that navigating between Quest games that are the headset and like PC, and then trying to figure out which one do I get? Do I get the Steam PC version, or do I get the Quest PC version, or is that version running on the device exclusive as run on the PC? It's kind of weird and kind of difficult. I was really struggling to find where I could buy first version of Asgard's Wrath, one of the system sellers of the Quest 2, I think it originally came out for. I don't know, it's kind of was a little bit tricky to just try and find it and buy it. It was like they almost didn't want me to buy it. It was kind of weird. I couldn't understand why and what was going on with that. So I find that sometimes the library thing's a little bit weird because you can't see your library on the PC that you have for the Quest in the app, but then you can see the library in the device itself, and you can't see this here and it's that. It's kind of like, man, dude, can put everything centralized in like one place, and this is for your Quest headset, this is for PC. And it would be nice to kind of know that you're not buying duplicates. If you've got a version on Steam already, you don't necessarily want to buy the Quest version of the same thing that's already on Steam that you already own potentially. You know, so that part of it can get, navigating the library can get kind of tricky and kind of confusing, I find. Quite a puzzle. On top of that, when it is a game that is on the device itself, it can be a little bit tricky to capture. It can be a conundrum to capture it, especially if it's not tethered via PC. If it's capturing via PC, it's a lot easier because you just do the same methods. You get something like an OBS or whatever, just do your thing. This is more content creators thing. It's not necessarily a thing that for consumers, but even as a consumer, if you just want to capture the gameplay out of the headset onto a device, it can be a little bit tricky than say the PlayStation VR where you just plug it in, you play it as normal, and people can see it on the television and device you're connected to. You don't have to do anything. But with the Quest 3, you do have to think about all this stuff and kind of learn something. It's not super complicated in certain scenarios, but you still have to kind of figure that part out. It's not just plug and play, which is the experience with PlayStation VR 2 in comparison. This is especially true if you're a content creator and you want to get the best quality you can. Then, you know, it's a little bit compromised. It's a little bit not perfect. And depending on what quality you're willing to accept is going to be dependent on how easy or hard you want the whole thing to be in the first place. So that's something to think about, especially if you don't want to record from the device and then transfer it over to your PC and all that kind of rim-ram. What's rim-ram? That's made up a word. So it's worth knowing at time of recording, you can bag Asgard's Wrath 2, a big-time system seller. It's kind of been considered as a game that is actually even better, or as good as, if not better, than Half-Life Alyx, which is kind of the benchmark standard of like VR games now in terms of AAA and that full experience. So you can get that free up to now with the purchase of the Meta Quest 3 up until March the 30th of 2024. So yeah, you still got some time if you're watching this early. And getting such system exclusives is a must, especially with things like Assassin's Creed Nexus VR as well. As quite the experience, highly rated by many. I've had a fun time with that. Heck, I'm having a fun time with the first Asgard's Wrath, which we're still working on at the moment to work up to 2. But even that one's worth a play, and it works perfectly on the Quest 3. And then there's other mixed reality experiences. Assassin's Creed Nexus has a mixture of mixed reality and VR, which is again like mixing your real world, in case you're wondering, with virtual reality things. That could be floating screens or a whole UI environment or things going on in your real world environment. It could be zombies coming through the window or something like that. It's basically what mixed reality does. Other mixed reality system sales are things like piano vision, which lets you play with an actual piano while seeing things going on, or it can actually just do a virtual thing for you. So you'll be doing like Beat Saber with a piano almost. So it's very cool. And you have things like Lego Bricktails, which, yes, it's available outside of the Quest ecosystem, headset system, but it's the only version that allows for mixed reality. So you could be building Lego on your desk. You're building Lego on your desk and look like a complete and utter weirdo, while at the same time being super cool. I mean, that's just, I need to get it. I need to get this thing, you know, and it's a pretty sweet deal, pretty sweet thing. You have to also remember the Quest 3 isn't just for gaming, right? So its versatility extends to work. I think I kind of touched on this already earlier. Creativity, development, if you know you like to mess around in Unity game engine or Unreal game engine and so forth, then this is one of the devices to kind of just test that kind of stuff and get it going really easily, and probably the most affordable way. Good luck getting a PlayStation VR 2 development kit. I don't even know how that even begins to work. I don't even know. I don't know, you know? But it makes it a multi-functional powerhouse. And you know that's a ChatGPT line, right? Hey, if you don't ask, you don't get, and asking you shall receive. So if you haven't liked and subscribed already, this is a great point. Just got some great value already, great nuggets. And also check out the justvrgaming.shop for your boy, where there are more cool VR gaming stuff. I've got some really good stuff coming in stock. Stranger. Cool membership stuff, behind the scenes stuff. You can see the whole VR setup here that we've got going. There's a newsletter that we're developing. We might be developing a magazine. There's some really cool things. Check those out. Let's get back to it. Meta's hopes and intentions with VR is very evident, so their backing is very secure compared to Sony's kind of thing. I don't know if they're fully committed as far as exclusives and so on, but with Meta, that's one of the benefits, that they definitely have both feet fully in the VR market and are definitely one of the leaders, especially for the consumer side of things. Definitely driving the technology forward. I don't know who's going to be using the Apple one. The Apple one's expensive as. The Quest 3 also ups the ante on comfort, although I have admittedly changed the strap, which is this was even more comfortable. But the stock one is lighter. It's you know, it's easier on your head. You don't get lines, especially you got that with the PlayStation VR 1. It makes those long VR sessions more enjoyable overall, which is important. Now, if only the battery agreed with the longer sessions part I just mentioned. As I said, really, while the default strap is an improvement, it's still pretty basic for such a premium device at a premium price. So you might find yourself eyeing an upgrade like the Zyber here that I've got, and I've got a video for that. It's pretty sweet. Cheaper than the official strap and much more comforting and much more flexible, as you kind of see here. So I'm moving bits and pieces around. It's pretty good. But the problem with that obviously is that you're spending more money again. So yeah, this VR stuff is not cheap at the moment. Remember to use the Amazon links if you're gonna get it though. Appreciate the free support. So obviously with its leaping hardware, you know, you're getting 4K, you're getting better visuals here. A more powerful GPU means better performance. You're getting improved cameras, controllers, general hardware improvements that just make for a much more premium device, as well as a more premium experience potential. And of course, with that premiumness, you get to have the most advanced and fully fledged experience when it comes to combining it with PC, and even there's things like options where you can set up multiple boundaries for different rooms and so forth, so you don't want to make sure you don't smash yourself when you're doing your virtualizing in life, you know. But with great power comes great strain, and that means the battery life on this thing, oh man. Now, while it's understandable with the advent of mixed reality and all the things that's going on with this device, the battery is pretty poor. Offering maybe 2 hours wireless and 4 hours wired, it's not a lot. Because unlike the Quest 2, this thing leaks battery even when it's not connected, like, even when it's not running. Like, this was at 100%, I just turned it on accidentally a few hours ago and it's at 96%. Doesn't make any sense. That didn't happen with the Quest 2 at all, really. So you might need to invest in a powerful external battery. One I have is pretty good. This is a 20,000 mAh one, so this to charge it, like, I think it's gonna do like a full charge maybe or something like that. I can't remember. The thing takes like a whole day to charge though, but it otherwise is really good. It's just that, you know, you kind of need to invest in this if you want to go longer. So I think this adds like maybe 4 hours. I want to say about 4 to 6 hours, 20,000, which helps a lot. But again, more money again. So I'll put an Amazon link to this to remind me. So yeah, external battery like that, and a fast USB-C cable is going to be needed as well. Otherwise, even when it's connected, like even with my cable, that's a decent one, again, third party, I'm finding that it's still leaking charge. You used to be able to connect the USB-C cable to the Quest 2 and it would actually just keep in position. It wouldn't lose any battery life. It would just stay. But I had it connected in Asgard's Wrath 1 and the thing just kept going and going and going and going and going down. It didn't make any difference that it was connected. You need a really good cable. You need a really good battery if you want to go longer than the 2-4 hours wireless and non-wireless. It's crazy. Also, the sticker price pain doesn't end with the battery or the headset itself. It also comes with any official accessories. For some reason, the Meta Quest accessories are just super expensive. You know, they're really like, I'd recommend you just go with third-party stuff that has good ratings on Amazon or what have you. Wink, wink, use the links, because their prices are really high and you're already paying a lot for your device, depending on which, you know, version you go for. So the Quest 3 currently will set you back at £453 in UK money. That's about $499 US. Was it $499 US? Let me double check that actually. Yep, that is indeed correct. And then you add about 100 to that if you want the 512 gigabyte version. This version I have is the 128 gigabyte version. You can double that space by getting the 512 version, and double it. That's not double, it's more than double, isn't it? 100, 200, yeah, well, you know what I mean. You can get more space, pay for extra 100, so that's even more cost again. I think 128 gigabytes is enough if you're willing to kind of rotate the stuff that you have on the device, and that's for like the games that are going to run on the device itself, not the stuff that runs on PC. If stuff that runs on PC, it stores on your PC. Stuff that runs on here installs on here. So PC VR is not the problem for your space. Only anything that's the headset, like Assassin's Creed Nexus VR, for instance, has to install on this, and that's what will take up your space along with whatever default stuff is on there. 120 gigabytes, I got about half still with some of the stuff installed. So I think you'd be fine if you are rotating stuff around. If you want to just keep everything on one system, then you're gonna have to consider the 512 gigabyte one, which is gonna be extra £100 to your wallet. And it's worth saying in terms of privacy, and people have been obsessed about this, and you know, so it's something to consider if you have a problem with it. You do need a Meta account to use these devices, which, you know, you need a PlayStation account to use a PlayStation 1 fully anyway. So I don't know. It's like at some point you're going to need an account these days for everything pretty much. And there's no exception with the Meta device. But I know some of you are with Facebook / Meta. I mean, to me, if you're on the internet, everything is tracked anyway. So forget the dream of anonymous willy pics, unless you don't mind an AI deepfake version of your penis being available for the world to see within a few weeks thereafter. So overall, how do I rate the Meta Quest 3? Let's get this out of the way real quickly. Oh, this thing keeps turning on even when I'm not trying to turn it on. That's the thing. My final score for Meta Quest 3, I will rate a strong 8.5 out of 10. Let me turn this off. Battery and all that.